Okay, class, today we're going to be working on finding the slope and finding the line or the equation given the slope. Now, keep in mind that there's going to be two different sheets. So if your sheet doesn't look exactly like mine, it's okay. I'll be working your example next. But pay attention and write these steps down as well. Now, even though this sheet says find the slope of a line, I also want you to find the equation. Excuse me, guys. So also write up here equation, because I want both. So for this first point, I know I have 1 and 5 and -1 and -3. So I know my equation, y equals, I just made that one mistake a year I make. I know my equation is m equals y minus y over x minus x. So I know that I have -3 minus 5 over -1 minus 1, correct? And -3 minus 5 will give me a -8. And -1 minus 1 will give me a -2. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that will give me a 4 for my slope. So I know for this one my slope is 4, correct? So now I'm going to go back. And now that I have my slope, I can write my equation using what formula? That's correct, the point slope. I can use either point. I'm going to choose to use 1 and 5. So now I'm going to go to my slope point formula, which is y minus y equals mx minus x. And now I'm going to substitute my xy value as well as my slope. So I'm going to have y minus 5 equals a slope of 4 and then x minus 1. So now I'm going to have to distribute the right side of my equation to get 4x minus 4. Remember, this has to go here, then it has to go there as well. And then over here, I'll still have y minus 5. So now in order to solve for y, I need to add 5 to both sides. And that's going to give me y equals 4x plus 1. So the answers I'm looking for is the slope of 4 and the equation y equals 4x plus 1. Okay, let's look at number 10 here. It wants me to graph the line passing through the given point with the slope. So I know it's going to pass through 0, 4, correct? So I'm going to go to 0, 4, and I'm going to put a dot. Change my dot so it's a different color. Okay, I'm going to put a dot. And then that slope tells me 1. And that's a positive 1, which means I'm going to go up 1 and over 1 and put another dot. And then I'm going to connect those two dots. So that would be my graph. Now I just want to reiterate when you get down to question 14 what it means to have something that's perpendicular. Don't forget that perpendicular, and this is the symbol we use for perpendicular, means negative or opposite reciprocal. Don't forget that. So if my slope is 4 and I want the perpendicular slope, it's going to be a -1 over 4 because I have to flip the 4 over 1 and then change the sign. At the same time, if I have a slope of 3, 2, a -3 over 2, and I want the perpendicular slope, then it's going to be a positive 2 over 3. So don't forget that when you're working those problems. Okay, now I'm going to work another problem. This is if your worksheet looks a little bit different. If the top of it just says practice and not skills practice, this is the worksheet you have. So I want to work one of these as well. So first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back to my slope formula again. And I'm still going to have y minus y equals x minus x. So this is going to give me a 2 minus a -8 over a -5 minus 3. This gives me a what? This gives me a 10 over a -8, which gives me a -5/4. So I did all that to find out that my slope is a -5 over 4. Now remember, Ms. B also wants the equation. So after you do that, I want you to go ahead and find the equation for me. And don't be afraid if you get a fraction. So here I'm going to get y minus y equals mx minus x. So I'm going to have, and I'm going to use this first point. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you use as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to use y minus a negative 8 equals a negative 5/4 x minus 3. So that's going to give me a y plus 8, because a negative times a negative is positive, equals negative 5/4x plus 15/4. Remember, because that 3 is really 3/1. So now I have to subtract 5 from both sides. And that's going to give me a y equals negative 5/4 x. And then I'm like, ooh, what do I do with the 15/4 minus 5? Okay, let's not make this difficult. I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm actually going to hit, open parentheses, 15 divided by 4, close parentheses, and I'm trying to subtract 5 from that, minus 5. And that gives me a negative 1.25. So if I hit math, enter, what does it tell me that is? It tells me that that's a negative 5/4. Okay, I wish I could hear y'all talking, because I'm sure that some of my kids were saying, Miss B, why did you change this? Put that back. Why did you change this 8 to a 5? Does everybody see that? That was called a computational error. So I'm going to fix that. So watch me as I fix it. So right here, I'm going to correct that, because I should have been subtracting what from both sides? That's correct, 8. So this was plus 15/4, and I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, correct? So when I pull my computer or my calculator back up, I'm going to actually hit again 15 divided by 4 minus 8. Enter, and then I want math, enter. And I'll convert it for you. So you'll see now that I have negative 17/4. So I have y equals negative 5/4 x minus 17/4. So that's my equation. So remember, I'm looking for the equation and my slope. So let's look at number 7 now. Let's look at number 7. So for number 7, I see that my starting point, because it gives me the 0, is 0, negative 3, correct? So I have a starting point right here. And then what's my slope? 3. So that means I got to rise 3 and run 1. So I'm going to have a line connecting through those two dots. Any questions over that? Okay, don't forget what I said about perpendicular and parallel. Parallel means that the slope is the same. So if I have this equation, y equals 5x plus 8, and I give you the point 6 and 2, and I say I want the equation, what's the slope I'm going to use if I want it parallel? Correct. It's going to be a 5, because the slope stays the same, correct? What's the slope I'm going to use if I want it perpendicular? Correct. It's going to be 1/5, and it's going to be negative because it's the opposite reciprocal or the negative reciprocal. So, job well done. I'm almost to my 10 minutes, so have a good evening. And I won't be in class tomorrow, remember, but I'll be in the building somewhere doing a training. But remember to work on this page and get it done. Have a good evening. Bye.